Madagascar. In the morning, broad leaves hold the moisture. Branches cross above the forest floor, and somewhere deep in the trees, a sharp sound cuts through the silence. Nothing here reveals itself right away. A tree trunk may look like nothing more than a tree trunk until an eye moves. High in the canopy, silhouettes cross the forest without touching the ground. Below, roots, insects, and small reptiles form a world that is almost hidden. Madagascar does not just feel far away. It followed a different path. Isolated for millions of years, the island became home to species that exist nowhere else on Earth. Life here did not copy the rest of the world. It grew freely. It tested other shapes, other movements, other colors, and other sounds. And the deeper we move into this territory, the less the question becomes, what lives in Madagascar? And the more it becomes, how did one island create a world so different? Before the forest appeared, before lemurs leapt between the branches, before baobabs dominated the landscape, Madagascar already carried its deepest mark: isolation. For millions of years, the island remained separated from major landmasses. That separation was not only geographic, it was biological. Animals and plants that reached this place found a territory without the same pressures, competitors, or predators found on other continents. Over time, life began to change. What was small became specialized. What lived in the trees occupied every layer of the forest. Reptiles hid in bark. Insects blended into leaves. Birds filled the air with their own sounds. And primates followed a story that happened only here. Madagascar became a natural laboratory. No walls, no human control, no repetition. Each valley, each humid forest, and each fragment of woodland helped create unique forms of life. They stayed here, bound to the island. And because of that, when a species disappears in Madagascar, it does not vanish from just one region. It vanishes from the entire world. Much of life happens above the ground. In the trees, the island reveals its vertical structure. Trunks become roads, branches become bridges. The canopy becomes shelter, passage, territory, and a place to feed. For many animals, the ground is only a smaller part of the world. The real movement is high above. That is where Madagascar begins to feel less like an ordinary island and more like a closed system, where every layer of the forest holds a different form of life. And among all these forms, some carry in their bodies the most famous story of this isolation: the lemurs. In other parts of the world, primates followed many paths. In Madagascar, they followed their own. Without monkeys competing for the same space through much of their history, lemurs occupied many different niches across the island. Some live in noisy groups, others are nocturnal. Some feed on leaves, fruits, flowers, or nectar. Their bodies cross thin branches with precision. Their hands grip the wood. Their tails help with balance. The group moves above the ground, stopping to eat, watch, and listen to whatever moves around them. In Madagascar, lemurs are not just charismatic animals. They are living proof of how the island's isolation changed the course of life. Evolution here did not produce a copy of primates from other continents. It produced a lineage of its own. And when their calls move through the forest, it is not just the sound of the trees. It is the sound of a story that happened only here. And while primates dominate the heights with movement, other inhabitants survive through waiting. On the branch, a narrow body advances slowly, its feet holding the wood in calculated movements. One eye looks forward, the other watches the side. Every step seems measured, so it does not give away its presence. The chameleon. Madagascar is home to one of the greatest concentrations of chameleons on the planet. In many of the island's forests, they live among leaves, shrubs, and low branches, using color, texture, and slowness as part of their survival. The body does not need to run. It simply disappears into its surroundings. The skin blends with the environment, but camouflage is not only about color. It is posture, rhythm, and the ability to become almost like an unmoving piece of vegetation. As insects pass in front of it, the chameleon remains still, as if the forest itself were holding its breath. Then the head adjusts. The eye locks on. The tongue shoots forward. The attack ends before the insect can react. And where the chameleon hides among leaves, other smaller bodies turn bark and shadow into an almost perfect shelter. On the damp trunk, there is a shape that barely separates from the wood. The skin follows the tones of the bark. The edges of the body break up its outline. The head lies flat against the surface, and for a moment, it is hard to know where the animal ends and the tree begins. The geckos of Madagascar seem made to test your attention. Some hide on trunks, others hide on leaves. Others stay on thin branches where one wrong movement would draw attention. Their defense begins before escape. It begins with appearance, with stillness, with the exact choice of a place where the body can disappear best. In the forest, survival does not always mean being strong or fast. Sometimes it means not being seen. Small reptiles occupy this quiet space of the island. Lizards, geckos, and other species live at the edge of perception. They appear only when the light changes, when an eye reflects, or when a foot shifts a few inches across the bark. And when the gaze moves even lower, the complexity of this land becomes complete. From the top of the canopy to the invisible detail of the forest floor, everything works under a logic that challenges the rest of the planet. Near the ground, the forest changes scale. Fallen leaves form tiny tunnels. The wet soil holds thin tracks. Between roots and moss, insects cross paths that almost no one notices. Madagascar also lives in this small world of the forest. Beetles, moths, ants, spiders, and other small animals occupy the spaces between plants, trunks, and decomposing matter. Many are discrete. Some look like fragments of leaves. Others carry strong colors, strange patterns, and shapes that only make sense when seen up close. Among them is one of the island's best-known creatures, the Madagascar hissing cockroach. Large, dark, and wingless, it moves across the forest floor and among decomposing trunks. When it feels threatened, it releases a hissing sound from its body, a simple detail, but enough to show how even the island's smaller animals carry traits of their own. This small world supports important parts of the forest. Insects help break down leaves and dead wood. They recycle organic matter, serve as food for birds, reptiles, and small mammals, and keep life moving in a way that rarely becomes a symbol of the island, but without which the forest would lose part of its structure. In Madagascar, the mystery also exists at this smaller scale, not only in the lemurs high in the canopy or in the chameleons frozen on the branches, but in the organisms working beneath the leaves, inside the trunks, and between wet roots, keeping the forest alive beneath the main scene. And above this almost invisible activity, the forest keeps breathing through sound. A short call crosses the trees. Then another answers from farther away. The leaves high above begin to move, and a bird crosses the opening between two canopies, too fast to be seen completely. The birds of Madagascar also carry the mark of isolation. Some species live only here. Others depend on specific forests, wetlands, forest edges, or dry regions. Their sounds help draw the space where the eyes cannot reach. The forest may seem still, but the sound gives away the movement. In the canopy, birds search for fruits, insects, and small places to land. Some move in silence. Others announce their presence with calls that seem to fill the entire forest. For anyone walking below, these sounds make the forest feel larger, more closed in, and more alive. The birds show that Madagascar is not strange only because of what can be seen. It is strange because of what can be heard. Each call strengthens the feeling of a place separated from the rest of the world, where life created its own acoustics, its own rhythms, and its own presences. But the island is not made only of dense forest. When the forest opens, Madagascar changes its face. The green begins to fade. The light becomes harsher. The ground appears dry, open, marked by dust and heat. And in the middle of this landscape, enormous trunks rise like ancient columns, the baobabs. They do not look like ordinary trees. Their wide trunks, high crowns, and almost upside-down shape turn the landscape into something that feels outside of time. At sunset, when the light drops, their silhouettes become even stronger. Each tree seems to hold its place like a natural monument. In Madagascar, baobabs are more than a visual symbol. They show another side of the island. Far from the enclosed moisture of the forest, there are regions where life must deal with dry seasons, exposed soil, and long periods of heat. The baobab stands in this environment with its massive trunk, capable of storing water and passing through difficult seasons without losing its presence in the landscape. Around them, the world feels more open. The sound changes, the air changes, shade becomes rare. The hidden forest gives way to an island that is drier, brighter, and rougher. And even so, it is still Madagascar. The same isolation that created life in the canopy also shaped giant trees in areas where water is scarce. In Madagascar, The fragility of the ecosystem appears when the forest begins to disappear. Because many species exist only here, the destruction of a habitat can affect animals and plants that have nowhere else to go. A lemur tied to a certain type of forest does not find a perfect copy on another continent. A reptile adapted to one specific forest does not simply move into another world. An endemic plant does not reappear on another island, as if history could repeat itself. The isolation that made Madagascar so unique also makes its life more vulnerable. Each lost fragment carries something that cannot be recreated in a laboratory, replaced in another country, or compensated for by just any forest. The island does not hold only rare species. It holds entire evolutionary stories, and some of those stories are becoming smaller. Still, when the forest remains standing, Madagascar continues to show what made it different from the beginning. Madagascar does not need to look invented to feel mysterious. The mystery is in the fact that everything here had time to follow its own path. In the canopy, primates leap by rules that belong to the forest. On the trunks, reptiles disappear in plain sight. Between leaves, insects carry the small life that supports the environment. On the dry side, ancient baobabs mark the land as if the landscape itself had memory. The island is strange because it is real, because its difference was not born from legend, but from isolation, time, and adaptation. Here, nature ignored the rules of the rest of the world. It decided to create its own version of life. If you've made it this far, subscribe to Planet Films. The next journey is about to begin.